Well, as you can see, this is our Pcatd. Mike Carzoli asked me to make a video about how we get this thing started. So we're going to start by turning on all of the red switches over here. It's the battery master, left and right alternator switches, and the avionics master switch. Then we're going to switch over here to the computer and turn the computer on. And I want to make sure that the monitor is on also. And that's a button under here. And the monitor is on. Now to bring the software up, we have to have the mixture up, the propeller up, and the throttle up. Notice that we also have a multi-engine throttle quadrant that can be screwed into the same location here. So here's the computer coming up. And as soon as it comes up, you'll see two different icons on the screen, an upper one and a lower one. Here comes Windows, and here's the two icons that we're talking about here and here. The upper one says copy of Elite Pcatd GV. That's the one we want. We have two videos going. We have this video on the computer, and over here we have a video also. I don't know if you can see it, but the cursor right now is sitting on this screen. We want to bring the cursor over here to this screen, and just taking the mouse, drag the cursor off to the right till it comes on this screen. Go to the upper icon and double click. You'll see the software begin to come up. And from this picture, you can select any particular type of plane that's available. We have an Archer. There's 1, 2, 3 different types of Archers having to do with the instruments. There's an Arrow, 2 arrows, a Baron, that would be the multi-engine throttle, and so on and so forth. We're going to select the Archer 3 today, GNS 430, 1024 by 768, and it's highlighted already. So I'll bring the cursor down to choose, and we'll choose that one. Here's a map of various places in the United States. If I wanted to fly to the Florida area, I would select with the left mouse button this section, but because we live up here in Chicago, I'm going to select this section for us to work with, and then come down to choose. Now with the throttle and the mixture and the propeller levers full forward, you'll see a green section out here in a moment telling us that everything's okay. Well, it loaded already. And the reason I can tell that it loaded already is by coming over here, and you can see all of the instruments here. So here's the screen for the 430W. The controls for the 430W are located up on the top here, the dials. So we'll press the enter key several times to get the GPS up and running. And then we have some routes that are saved. I'll press flight plan, and I'll turn this to the second page, turn the cursor on, move the cursor down to 3CK to Janesville. I'll press enter and menu and activate that flight plan. And now over here you would see that the flight plan goes from 3CK to Farm Intersection to Corinna to Teddy, and so on and so forth until it gets to Janesville. So when it first boots up, everything is in pause mode or freeze mode. And one of the things you want to make sure that you do is ensure that the HDG, or heading, the directional gyro, is set to the proper runway. This is runway 26, so I'm going to come down here and reset the DG so that it is the same as the runway. 24, 25, and 26. 262 is the actual course. Okay, with that done, I can now press over here the freeze button, which will take the airplane off of freeze. But the parking brake is initially set in the top left corner. It tells me that the parking brake is set. I'm going to take my finger underneath the yoke, way underneath the yoke on the left-hand side. Down here is the parking brake release button. Press it once, the parking brake has now been released. And so now we're ready to take off. The throttle is full, and the rudder pedals are located underneath down here. And so what I'll do is I'll get into the pilot's seat here. And begin to fly. Get you as close as I can. Throttle up using the rudder pedals to stay aligned with the runway. And we're accelerating down the runway. The flaps are up. The airspeed is accelerating. When I get to 60, I'll rotate. Here comes 60. I'll rotate and lift off. And I'll probably want to climb at about 7 to 10 degrees nose up on the attitude indicator. With the GPS in GPS mode, I can now turn, direct enter, to follow my magenta line to my first point. There we go. And now I can engage the autopilot, and I'll engage it in heading and altitude, navigation. The autopilot is on. The autopilot is now flying the airplane. So that's that part. We also have all the manuals and the CDs that are required for updating. This has the most current version with the Garmin 430 WAS unit. This is the back of the unit. This is the display monitor. This is the avionics stack. This is the computer. And this is the instructor's station. And then to shut things down, all I have to do is come over to the instructor's station, bring the cursor to bottom right menu, up the top, quit. That stops that software. And then I have to run the cursor, here's the cursor, over to the other screen, which is right here. Bring it to the bottom left. Click on start, shut down, or turn off, and Windows will shut down, and the computer will shut down, and the only thing left to do is to turn off all these switches here. That stops the Hobbs meter. And then if I want, I can turn off the monitor also. And that's the process. Hope you enjoy it.